Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Hour on WLTKDB. Let's Talk Radio. And we have the reading show today. So we talk for a little bit about life, spirituality, and then we dive into readings later. And that's how we do it here. And while we're talking, you have the opportunity to ask questions about your own spiritual development. I've been a professional reader and healer for over 10 years. So I've been in it for a while and I have a wealth of knowledge to share. I really do. Whether it's from the more practical side of life or from the more esoteric side where you're getting into experiences that are sometimes subjective, but they have objective lessons tied to them. And so for everyone coming in, hi, Courtney. Hi, Paula. I appreciate you. And on the Psychic Hour, we focus on all things psychic with the readings portion. At least we're up for any question for people coming in with their unique situations. But for the readings, we do like numerology. If someone comes on with me, I do. It's me. Like psychic readings about your life. Sometimes we'll pull cards and we'll do numbers. So that goes into your chart because I'm a numerologist as well. And that's kind of what I focus on within my gifts. I am a medium and I love being a medium. So we do a little bit of mediumship when we can, but psychic and numerology is kind of where we have our sweet spot. So welcome, Mary. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Tracy. Hello, everybody. It's lovely to see all y'all. Crystal's like, how are you? I'm good. It's been a juggling week. So actually, with that said, there's a lot of energy moving. And when energy is moving, even though when it's crazy, I always feel more positive. Like, to comparatively describe the week, I always feel more positive because I do feel like things are happening and I do feel like life works better when things are happening rather than when things are stagnant. At least that's how my personality appreciates life. It really does. So I'm feeling the busyness of the week and I am just kind of embracing that flow because you do want a balance of feeling like you're in control, but you're up for whatever comes. And to put yourself in a place where you feel like you can handle those energies, you have to be in a certain sense of balance within yourself. So that is where my head is at, balancing my energies so I can continue to, ride the tidal waves. And sometimes they are tidal waves. Sometimes it's a great surfing, ginormous surf. Oh, thank you. Jennifer's asking, do you have a website where you can see all of your services you offer? Absolutely. So you can find me at kellybrickle.com. Absolutely. I've been updating my website a lot lately. So I have a logo. It's a nautilus. So it's like that beautiful kind of spiral effect, the journey of life, but it's like watery and emotion based, and it's very blue. So it's on trend with that Surfing USA, Courtney, as you mentioned, riding the waves of life. So yeah, and Todd helped with the logo. Shout out to Todd, the lovely station owner who just he commandeers so much for us on the great journey of what's at sea. So yeah, Todd's fantastic. He is just so multidimensional with his talents. So yeah, you can find me on my website and I do psychic readings. I do psychic and mediumship readings, as well as numerology. I do healing. I do a lot of that in person though. So I have services in person. I'm out of Orange County. because there's just certain things that I just prefer to do more hands-on. So that's like more like the Reiki certifications and the Reiki. I do distance occasionally, but I do the majority of that in person. And then just with Zoom, it's kind of everything else. I do mentoring. I see people all through the year mentoring, helping them with their gifts, depending on if they're developing their mediumship or their psychic skills. Um, if they're developing their healing skills, or if they're just like learning what it means to be intuitive and to embrace their life with more confidence and certainty in that aspect of intuition. That's where, that's where I coach, that's where I mentor, with learning about energies and how you want to work with that in your life. And some people work professionally with how they want to have that in their life. And some people like want to have control back within their life because they are so sensitive. They're walking into their cubicles, they're walking into their office, and they feel like just so much because they're an empath, and they feel like they're being pressured at work, or they feel like people are just knowing that they're uncomfortable and using that to their advantage because they are a people pleaser, or they want to trust their instincts with how they shift within their work and really activating who they are and going, this feels right in my gut. How do I listen to that? And showing them that those instincts are real with exercises and lessons and encouragement. So I'm very passionate about it. So once you get me start talking about what I do and what I offer outside of just like my day-to-day week, you'll hear me talk about it for forever, honestly. So thank you, Courtney, I appreciate it. And yeah, I do things on Zoom. That's how people work with me when they're not in person. So it's like this: you see me, I talk with you, I'm present. It's just it's over Zoom. So when you sign up for a service, unless it says in person, it's going to be on Zoom, unless you click the in person service. Yep. Or you say, hey, I'm in your area. So I hope that makes sense. So for anyone who is looking to have a session, um, I'm happy to have you. And I'm doing a numerology special that's coming up. I'm doing a big numerology special with business, and it's focusing on the cornerstones of your business, the foundations of your business, because there's so much to do with business numerology, something that I'm very passionate about as well. And it takes your chart, just like, having an astrology chart or numerology chart, it lets you so much. It lets you know so much of who you are, and how you function with what you want, desire, need, and what you're pushed towards in your life to learn about, with what your career will be, with how you will work within relationships, and who's good for you to be around, who ignites your fire, who grounds you, or, who's counter to how you work or who's exact to how you work. And what energies support you with your chart, like, your location of where you live, it supports your energy, or it brings out things in your energy. So there's like these flow and inhibitor um indications of how things work with you on a daily basis. And sometimes when we feel dragged down, it's because the energy around us doesn't support us. So we look at that with a business focus, and kind of what I'm doing a special on. And so on my website, there's one that goes into a little bit more elaborate. Like it's a 90-minute session plus, and then we have the special that's coming up, and that's like an hour session where we really get in and we start to help you look at the things that you need to look at. Um, and it's like kind of it's very, very detailed. It's very, very focused, but we don't go into everything, but we go into the main things that you are looking at. And so there you go. That's my special. It will be on the website later today. Um, yes. So, hey, everybody. The topic of the day that I wanted to go into was apparently talking about my website. Not bad, right? I'll take it. But also, it was in the motivation of foundations. Okay. So, with foundations, it's important to have these support systems in place within our life. And we're always learning how to have different foundations. Um, they say that luck favors the prepared. And so, hey, that goes directly to what we're talking about: foundations. If your foundations are in place, when things come your way, even if it's like, whoa, can I handle this? Like, this is an amazing opportunity, or like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Um, if you're ready to go, you can ride that wave, and you never know when things are coming. And sometimes it's on the flip side. Sometimes there's been, catastrophic things that have happened, and you're kind of devastated, and you go, I just never saw this coming. And it could be a family member that's sick, or it could be, a job change that you just didn't even anticipate, or a relationship ending, and you go, I didn't see this one coming. But your foundations are in place, and you're like, thank God I'm in a certain place in my life where I can wrap around, what this means for me. I can wrap that around my head. I can wrap that around my heart, where I can somewhat work through this situation. So, within the foundations within our life, it's really about how we support our energy. And so, yeah, we talked about business numerology. That's a huge part of how are people able to stabilize their energy so they can make money. Oh my goodness, let's talk about this aspect. It naturally did come up, so why not? And there's going to be always these ebbs and flows in life. And if you have these pillars of strength to keep you up, then you're going to be riding those waves much, much easier. So, within not numerology, you're first going to look at your individual chart, because everything works and revolves around you. Okay. That's how it is. And how you make decisions in your life should revolve around you. It shouldn't be a reactive decision. And I think that's where a lot of people get into some, difficult territory. They go, oh, this opportunity looks great. Let me get on board. Let me do it. Like, what do I have to do? And their energy actually doesn't support them to be so quick or reactive, maybe. And sometimes your energy does. Like, for instance, if you have a lot of fives in your chart, you're really good with taking risks, and it pays off for you. If you have a lot of fours in your chart, taking risks is a really bad idea. So you have to understand what your energies are, and everyone is so entirely different. And some people within their core charts, they have conflicting motivators. So they have to honor both parts of themselves to be truly successful. Okay. So remember what I said with the four is the planner, and you can't rush into things. And the five is the one that can take risks and can have success with just being on the fly. Now, imagine if someone's chart has fours and fives predominantly. You would say, well, that's a contradictory. No, it isn't. It means at certain times within their life, depending where the placements are, that the fours need to be activated at certain times and the fives need to be activated at certain times. Okay. So, like, if you have a four personality but a five life path, that means that you have to plan the way that you go about your life. But if life then gives you something completely different from the plans, as long as you've practiced and prepared, you can take life as it comes, because that practicing and preparing puts your mind where it needs to be to take the risks. Now, if the four person doesn't prepare and they are just going, okay, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, then they're going to feel like they're in a tsunami and they can't hold on. And when they show up, they're going to be quite scatterbrained. But if they have the four energies in place as they enact the five energy, they're fine. They're good to go. Now, on the flip side, if you have somebody with like a five more personality, but a four life path, that means that they're really going to be moving a lot around within their work location wise, but they're not going to change their career. That means that they, can't sit still, but they're very, very devoted to their career. And you won't see a lot of change and variance in their career. It's just how they live their life, how they gain inspiration for what they do is kind of all over the place. But once they come into to work per se, there isn't a lot of change. They know exactly what they want, and they are on a steady mission. So do you see how it's like completely different drivers and completely different uses of energy, even though we're talking about fours and fives? And it gets a lot more technical than that. So there's certain people that, they've been told all their life they have to be one way, but actually they are very much of two ways. And those have to be honored. And if they're not, they will always be in conflict with themselves. Like, I see it a lot with two and five energies. I see it with four and fives as well. Okay. But I see it a lot in the two and five energies. I come across a lot of people with that configuration, and twos are so sensitive. They are so completely sensitive, like they can't push themselves too much. They're very powerful with how they can understand situations and people, and they can bring a lot of healing and resolution to people. But in order to generate that energy and give a person balance and peace and resolution, they have to have it within themselves. And so their barometer for how that goes is very sensitive. So, food, sleep, and I've talked about it on the show, environment can make them feel really wacky. It can drain them very easily if they don't find something that works for them, like a schedule. They will be all over the place and they can't offer anyone balance. And they will just be constantly hanging on for the ride. And they might look like they're balanced, but in the inside, they will feel like a mess. And productivity will be very difficult for them. Now, if they have that in balance, wow, what they're able to do and bring to people is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, if you have that 2 and 5 that I talked about in important placements in somebody's chart, the 2 is very settled and the 5 is the most like chaotic. It's like, I need to go everywhere. I need to do everything. I need to be free. I can't be tied down. And 2 needs that grounding in order to enact its power. It needs a moment to collect itself so it can balance properly, right? Like, think about like when you're meditating, you have to focus yourself. You need a moment to bring your energies in so things aren't so scattered. You have to go, okay, hold on a second. That's where twos and fours and eights kind of gather their energy for. Well, for a five, it's completely different. Ones, five, sevens, completely different. They need to expand in order to collect their energies. They need freedom in order to collect their energies. They need to be uninhibited. Okay. And so for people who need to be uninhibited with that, like let's say we're talking about the five energy again, they need all this creative freedom and they need to be out and about and they need to be sometimes very social people and very extroverted with their energy and play off different, you know, people's ideas and situations. And five is, it's sometimes it's the party number. They need to, just be free and have fun in order to like feel like themselves. And the two, that would fry the two. That would fry the two into next Tuesday. It would just the two is great to be extroverted when they're balanced, but if they're not balanced, they actually will revert to a lot of introverted behaviors because they feel so anxious and they feel so nervous around people and they're so empathetic. Okay? So for people who have both combinations, they would have to have immense self-care and then they can do whatever they need to do to engage their energies again, right? Their creativity, their passion for life, their sense of travel, okay? But you can see if you don't acknowledge both how if you want to be a 5 cuz you know you're a 5, let's say you only know your life path. A lot of people only know their life path numbers and there's so much more that is involved than the life path number. And if you don't know your other drivers, you could say I'm a 5, so I need to be free. Well, if you have a bunch of 2s around your 5, if you don't account for taking care of yourself, you will always feel like a mess. You will always feel like a mess. And you maybe will always, get out there and be more extroverted and do what you need to do, but you will always feel like you're not in control. And a lot of people are living life and they don't feel like they're in control of their energy. And so when you get into business and money, oh my goodness, that responsibility is amplified. How are you going to operate your business effectively, especially if you're leading or you're an entrepreneur and you don't know how to manage your energy? Okay. Maybe you're really good like with finance and structure. Maybe you have a phenomenal talent and that is amazing, but you will, as you're working, feel constantly drained if you don't know about what supports you. So we get into that and we line that up with who's around you. And if the energy that you are marketing and promoting with matches what you appear to be within other people, because, like it or not, it's really true. We come into the world with all this energy that we're born into. Now we can change that energy with our name and our identity, but we're born into the energy with our birth date with a certain amount of energy. And so when we walk into a room, people feel certain things. And so, like I like to link it to astrology a lot. Like if someone's an Aries or a Leo or a Pisces, right? Um, and usually people feel your rising sign, okay? You're gonna, or your midheaven sign, people are gonna feel that energy of who you are with how you operate within the world or your career to a certain degree. And it will make accessing what you want more difficult or easier depending on how people see your out and feel your outward energy. So you can always be in alignment with that and work and enhance. So there's always success with how you can work with the energy that you're born into. No one's born into a bad situation. It's just sometimes people don't understand how they come across to others. Or sometimes people don't understand that they might have a certain personality, but there's a certain energy signature that comes with their personality that no matter how big their personality is, will influence what other people think. Okay. And there's ways to mute that. And again, there's always ways to work with it. But this is how numerology and astrology and things like getting into energy analysis is so important and is so meaningful and so impactful. Okay. So, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Um, it's going up today, that special that I'm talking about. So, um, message me if you want to. It'll be up later tonight. But ask away, please. And I appreciate that. So, do we have any questions before we get into readings? I always like to take questions with what people are experiencing within the energy. The energies, like we're just out of Mercury retrograde. Again, I'm not an astrologer, but people talk about that and they feel it. They really feel it, like the communications have been wonky or they just feel more nervous because like Mercury it's mercurial. Okay, it's a quick energy, it's fast paced, things happen, and it can make people feel scatterbrained. All right, so with that said, we are going to shift into readings. And I appreciate all that enthusiasm. Yes, everyone is asking. That's what people are asking today rather than specifics for themselves. If you are looking to have a reading beyond this, you can go to my website and I do have Zoom services if you're not in the area, in person services, and everything is done where, we are talking and you can see me, and it's a very it's much more personal than you can ever get to on a mini reading. These readings are so beautiful with what they can just quickly pinpoint, but for an hour reading, it's the details are far far different and far more um it's just we go into every area of your life. I'm gonna put it like that. So all right, we are going into readings. I always take a sip of my tea or my water. We have tea today. Grabbing my paper and let's start some readings. Okay, everybody. All right. Thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who has been sending love my way. I really appreciate that. I'm happy to help and share. Okay, let's see here. Who are we going to first? I think I'm going to take some numerology first. We're doing the numerology special, so I'm in the numerology energy today and tomorrow. I really am. So if you're popping down your numerology, I'll probably pick you today because that's where my mood is. Okay. I'm going to go with Tracy and got 818 19 70. Thank you. And then she's asking for what do you see for the rest of 2023? That's a great question. It's a great question because we can go into cycles in numerology. So it's a perfect question, honestly. All right. So, Tracy, you're an attitude 8. Yep. You're an attitude 8. You're a personal day 9. And you are a life path 1, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yep. That is right. Okay. So you're life path 1, personal day 9, and an attitude 8. Yep. Okay. And then you're in a cycle of 6. Okay. So this year is focused for you, Tracy, like with family. Definitely. You're wondering how the rest of the year is going to go. Anytime I see a 6 in someone's cycle, there's 2 things that come up, like emotional understanding and healing, and really going through like your like catalog of how you're emotionally supported. So that always comes back to friends and family. 6 is a very friends and close friends and family situation always, because it deals with groups and how you're being supported, and who are the leaders that are taking care of everyone in the family or in the friend group. Are you one of them, or are you on the receiving end, and is it a good situation? And so around this time, it's always about kind of letting go relationships that no longer serve, or changing the way that the relationship is. Okay. So there's a lot of, like, let's say with family, you'll call them, you'll check in with them, or like maybe you'll visit and see them. And for whatever reason, you might go like, hey, I'd prefer you to come see me like this time, rather than me just going over to see you, or can I call you a little bit more? I need your support, or can I call you a little bit less? Like I really need time to devote to some other areas. So it's about completely changing what works for you with how you're being emotionally supported. And the number one thing that I see within a 6-2 as well, Tracy, because you're asking about this year, is it's a very important time to look at health, because what happens when you have emotional stress, whether it peaks this year or it builds this year, right? It creates imbalances within the body. And a lot of the inception for imbalances with health start within this year, because it feels like we are depleted and the body can't regenerate properly because we are not getting our needs met. Okay. And so what happens is the imbalances with the health sometimes can be subtle. For some people, more extreme, but usually it's more subtle. And then we don't always notice it because we just go, "Oh, I'm really stressed," or, "Oh gosh, I'm really tired." And it's just like, I guess I'll just hold back. I guess I can't do as much, but gosh, I just feel really out of it. Or, the emotions kick up, and you can feel kind of like angry or sad or all over the place. But what's happening is things aren't feeling right for you. So the change has to happen, and you have to be really, really cognizant. You have to be really careful about what's going on in your body too, because if you're making adjustments depending on your emotional needs, you are actually going to safeguard yourself with health issues and concerns. Let me tell you, because a lot of people who start to feel off, and that's the word, they can't pinpoint what, but they start to feel off with the stress. What happens is they don't really pay attention to it. And then in a cycle of 8, oh my gosh, a cycle of 8 is known for health, 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 health. And the cycle of 8 is known for, now it's going to hit you, either the consequences or the truth of the matter, and there's no backing down for it. So a lot of people have health complications in the 8. Okay? So I'm telling you why I'm saying this, okay? So really look at health this year. Really take your emotions seriously. And because a lot of people stuff them down, they're just like, I don't have time to think about this. I don't have time to think about this. Or they feel them, but they don't go into the journey of, how can we rectify that? Okay? Because you have the power. Like, you have the power where you can go, I don't want to do it like this anymore. And on top of that, you can actually go into like your childhood, you can go into the history of these certain situations and go, wow, that's connected to that. I shouldn't overlook it. Of course, I'm processing I'm angry. Of course, I'm processing that I'm emotional, but it goes beyond that. And if you can start to like release why exactly that keeps coming up and not just like, I'm angry, I accept it. I accept my emotions. It needs to go deeper. It needs to go incredibly deeper. You can actually shift and completely change your energy with how you feel emotionally and how you physically feel with your energy. So, I really think that's a huge theme this year, and she says, "Yeah, I've been having problems getting back into writing and stressing out. I am good at stressing and worrying." So I want you to write about your stress and your worry because it's time to go deeper and you're naturally a writer. And so, like, you are the main character. Okay. And this can inspire other projects and it can be like completely unrelated. But your character analysis of yourself needs to be very thorough at this time. Needs to be very thorough at this time. And like, what is the stress linked to? Is it linked to today? What is the emotion linked to that keeps coming up? When's the last time you felt it? Was it 3 weeks ago? Was it what was it 5 weeks ago? And what is the commonality of that? Okay. That is going to give you such an energy rush and it's going to fuel more inspiration and it's going to make the characters that you already are working on and the stories that you are telling much more rich and humanistic and aware and powerful. So that's what is really important. A cycle of six is a very people focused year. It's a focused year on how you're supported with yourself and others around you. And that is a great impetus for creativity and writing, let me tell you. And six is a very creative and fiery number as well in certain activations, especially within the arts, absolutely within the arts. So that's what I'm getting for you. Your health and your emotional energy is inhibiting a lot of creativity for you, and creativity is fire, it's creation. Like you know creative energy is like it's very sensual too as well because it creates life. It creates life. Creative force creates life. And when our health is inhibited and our emotions are complicated and blocking us, it blocks that life force. It blocks that zest and fire. So this is very important for you to look at, and it's going to enact a lot of healing and dive deep. That's what I'm getting for you. Okay. Hello everyone coming in. So I'm gonna take Jessie Cat. She's giving me 6 to 90. And so if you're wondering, everybody, so yes, not yesterday, on Wednesday, I didn't do any numerology. We did like some readings. Yet I keep saying yesterday on Wednesday, and yeah, there's certain moods that I'll be in to read. So I'm in a numerology mood. So pop down your numbers. That's how I'll find you today. Okay. We have another attitude 8. Okay, with Jessica. I love it. And then we have a personal day 2, and then a life path. We have the 9, and then you are in a cycle of you're gonna be a cycle of 6 as well too. Awesome. So what we were looking at with let me see anyone. I always see if we're getting questions. These days are going fast. Yeah, these days are going fast this week. That's hilarious. I agree. Okay. So what we're looking at is when someone has an attitude 8, it's really important for them to take charge. Okay. It's really important for them to be validated with their convictions and their analysis because 8 people see things very detailed and they see things a lot of times very accurately. Now, if there's too much stress within an eight's life, they can be a little bit all over the place. We're being honest. We're being honest. But when an 8 is grounded and dialed in and its power, is a natural leader. It's a natural manager. It's a natural person that is a visionary. Okay. And An 8 isn't made, since they're the visionary and the leader, they're not made to do all the juggling. And in fact, they can't, because their brain already naturally does all the juggling. Their brain goes, I'm aware of this, and I'm aware of this, and I'm aware of this. That's why I'm putting this together for you. And this is the best plan. Okay. So they're the master planners and the master articulators of what is important. And so they delegate. And it's important to highlight that, because utilize your help, whether it's like your kids, like you give them jobs and missions, and be like, and let them step up in their own responsibility, because you naturally could teach them so much with having this attitude placement as 8. You naturally can make them really effective human beings and guide them. And in turn, you know, when the family energies are evened up properly, gosh, that's the epitome of a family. You have multiple souls with multiple skills, and if everybody does their job and you find the best jobs for everybody, the house can work like clockwork. The house can be amazing, and the house can be just this I'm not going to say like paradise, cuz that, like life is crazy, and especially if you have small children, but it can be really, really great, because everybody's energy isn't crazy, it's organized. And so I say that because actually you excel with making this happen. Just, I need you to know that, to enact it. I need you to have confidence to enact it. I don't know, all your family's numbers, because that would help to paint this picture more clearly. But I would say, like with, like, in your husband, for instance, if you if he doesn't have really strong leadership numbers, you could actually ask him for help and be like, "Hey, like I'm catching these things. Like I need you to know about this." And he'd be like, "Oh, great. Like I'm aware that you can catch things that I cannot." And that relationship part gets activated of trusting you further. If he has a lot of leadership numbers too, and delegating numbers, what happens is there needs to be the acceptance of the equality of, I'm able to see this and you're able to see this. So we have to have more meetings where we discuss what we need to do. 8 people love analysis. 7 people love analysis too. It's a little bit differently, but 8 people love analysis, and they're very hands on with their analysis. Okay. So if you have constructive criticism and he has 8s too, honestly, that would bode well for you. If he has different numbers, what would happen is he has to acknowledge that you have these certain qualities, and that you can lead the family and teach the family to greater successes and organization. And that's what's coming in very strongly when I'm looking at you right now within family, and how we can kind of get the craziness in order, because you're in a cycle 6 and it's all about family. So how do we utilize family effectively? I actually think that can really change your life. So I hope that helps, Jesse Cat. I hope that shines light. And if you look at this, in order for an 8 to be effective, your life path 9, correct, but the 8's very, very, very important. In order for this 8 to be effective, you have to have really good self-care, because an 8 is a balancing and a grounding number. So you have to ground and, like, not rush yourself. Can't rush yourself. And then once you feel like, I have what I need, then you can kind of go a little bit all crazy, right? But slow things down, figure out what you need, and then you can start delegating, and then you can start, really changing things up. And that's how it's going to work effectively. Okay. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. I really do. I really, really do. It always, feedback is always very helpful and nice. It helps me know what's going on. It helps me grow too. And I'm glad it is helping. Let's see. So Crystal. Let's look at your numbers. Got Oh, you gave me both. Good. Okay. Because you did have a question about that. I appreciate that. So you're saying his is, we'll see what we can do. I'm just writing down both birth dates. Okay, so his is personal day 3, attitude 4, and I believe life path 7. Let me just double check that. That's right. Okay, and then yours is attitude 2, personal day 4, and then you're going to be a life path 3, I believe. Okay. So 7, 4, 3. I have to stack them up differently, so it takes me a second. This is like a version of synastry. It's a chart comparison. Um, so it does take more analysis. So understandably why, right? Okay. Dude. Okay. All right. So what's going on with you? And this is you and your cycle of, additionally, your cycle of 9. Okay. This is a time where I wouldn't rush a lot, Crystal, because what's happening is you're in a cycle of 9 and it's all about endings. It's all about closings. It's all about things are changing and transforming. And when you have this at play, you want to give yourself a lot of space and a lot of peace because what is going on around you is going to be busyness. You're going to be pulled to family issues. You're going to be pulled to working on projects you didn't see coming. Emotions have to be rectified, and there could be work with your ex-husband where you are going to be talking to him and going through things like, again, I'm going to use that word, rectifying things. Okay, so it is not a time to focus on joining, it's a time to focus on like letting things like sift out. So next year, if the energies are in favor, because again, we would have to look at a lot of things with how things lined up with relationship wise. Next year would be more of, okay, we start again, we have a fresh slate. This year, it's all about renewing energy and getting ready to do that. And in order to renew energy, you have to heal, you have to purge, you have to change. You have to say, I'm not the same. So that's why this relationship wouldn't work the same. I'm in a different place in my life. And that's why if I want to have a certain relationship, it would not play out the same because I have this in order. I have this in effect now. And so that's what's transforming still this year. So I wouldn't rush things. And if you do, it can make things kind of implode because nine's all about forgiveness. Nine is all about doing deep healing and work, like and releasing family trauma and like making past hurts kind of settle into a place where we can again process or shift with what once was, so we're not holding on to that stuff and it's not holding us down. So there's these themes at play that I want you to understand, so really don't rush and push things. Like for instance, I want to give you an example for someone who is in a cycle of 9. They might be aware of like, okay, like I'm changing, I can have this, I know I'm different now, I can have this. And what happens is life will be like, yeah, we're rising you to that point, but if you try to enact it now, they will make a bunch of things backfire because they're like, yeah, it's coming, but not yet, not yet. Like, so they will make, communications with people or opportunities with people elusive. The energies of 9 because you're supposed to be doing the work to wrap things up, not to mess things up by adding more, because that's what you used to do. Okay. So you have to get into the new identity. So you have to fully embrace wrapping things up, doing the work, and letting things come as they will. So you have what you need and change into the person you need to be. So this is okay. I'm glad you can understand this. This is really at play here. And then I just want to acknowledge the way you two communicate actually is pretty good. You have very favorable attitude numbers. So I like that. That's really, really important within relationships. Um, and let's see, with your life path numbers are a bit different. So, I'm seeing that naturally, in order for you to be at your happiest, you have to be in careers that invite you to open up and share. And in order for him to be happiest, he has to be in careers that let him to be like kind of free and go into his mind and think. And so your life is pulling you to be more extroverted, and his life is more pulling him to be more thoughtful and a little bit more careful about how he goes about things. So the way he runs his energy sometimes can be a little bit mysterious. And yours is more like, here's my emotions. Here you go. Why am I not getting the same thing back? So there are different kind of drivers at play, but the one thing that I like within what I'm seeing is that you communicate in a similar way, even though there's different drivers and you have different needs within the relationship and what makes you happy as individuals. Okay, so you have different personalities, but you communicate in actually more similar ways. So, some of the things that you'll be bringing up this year, if you are wanting to talk with your husband, ex husband, can be seen a little bit more clearly. Okay. But I wouldn't push things for all the reasons that I mentioned. I would not push things, and he's the type of person where he needs more alone time to process things. So just let things go as they are, and you will be shown the next step rather than enacting the next step. I would say be more patient and just see what you're working with, and you're going to see the writing on the wall much more clearly. Okay, because that's already what he's doing. Okay, and you can't force someone to change. You can't. So be patient. It will definitely bode well for you to see where he's at and the relationship energies between you two are at. Okay. And that's what I'm getting for you, Crystal. And yes. Okay. So let's see. Jennifer. Jennifer, you had a question. My question is, I was told I'd be receiving or inheriting money in June and July. If that is inaccurate, does it mean I'll be losing a loved one? I do not need to know who. I was told I'd be receiving. So, okay. When there's multiple readings that are going out on at play, I want to acknowledge that. So people are going to be asking questions of what they've been told by other readers. Now, I don't know what another reader said to you. A reader could have been 100% accurate or 100% not accurate. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know, and I can't speak on that. So it's like, I can't really take what another person says and say, were they right? Were they wrong? No, I can just look at your chart and see what's going on with your chart. Um, because there's so much at play. Yes, I could pinpoint if money is coming to you in a certain month that is much more detailed. Um, I could, but again, I could tell you the likelihood of it. It's not going to be like, yes, this is definitely going to happen. I could tell you the likelihood. And I could tell you the likelihood if that was happening within things around you in your life rather than someone intuitively saying, I think this is going to happen. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's that's a question that is you can't mix and match other readings with accuracy, because the energy is coming from the reader, not from you. I hope that makes sense. And I'm looking at your life foremost rather than the readings energy analysis. So let me look, and I have your numbers. Let's see what we can do. Okay. I'm just giving the parameters for what I can do and what I feel is fair and good to talk about. Okay. And then I'm just going to, yeah. Yeah. For really quick with Crystal, because I'm checking with Crystal. Yeah. You have to hold back, and if things are supposed to change, you will see change, but you have to hold back And it is important not to put pressure on that situation for a multitude of reasons. Absolutely. Absolutely. And your due crystal for next year is a completely new cycle of energy. So a lot of things will go differently. And the energy is going to be more progressive with how relationships can go for you. So just remember new beginnings. Invite new beginnings in. Okay. All right. Crystal. That was Crystal. And where was I? Where was it? Jennifer. Okay. Jennifer. All right, let's look at your numbers, Jennifer. That's 7, 28, 79. And so we have a personal day 1. We have an attitude 8. Oh my gosh, nearly everyone has been attitude 8. That's so fun. Um, and then we have, just doing the numbers, 8. We have a 7 then for you, I believe. I'm just going to double check that. We have an 8. Yep, that's right. And then you are in a cycle of, you'd be a cycle of 6 as well. And then your cycle of 6, and you had question around June and July. Okay. So in June and July, the energies that are coming forth are for June, it's an expansion of energy for you to meet other people, have other opportunities, get out. Um, it's a very people and networking forward number. So, you're wondering about money. Well, you have a chance to meet different people and to enact different exchanges of energy and opportunities. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about how your energy is. And yeah, every month is an opportunity for money. I want you to think about that. But there's going to be certain things that help certain things to happen. So, and then you asked about in July. And so in July, it's about learning. It's about the home life. Okay. So when I see that within someone's chart, I know that they're going to be fixing something within their home. They're going to be rearranging something within their home. Or if they want to, or if they're able to, they have an opportunity to be a part of a class because they want to develop their higher learning, whatever they're curious in, or whatever they want to grow within their career within. Okay. So I'm seeing themes about chances of growth, but I'm looking at self growth. So you're looking at inheriting money. Okay. If you actually have things within your real life where you might be inheriting money and that is an option, I would be seeing that later within the year. Again, if that is not based on someone just randomly telling you you will be inheriting money. Okay. I want to make that very, very, very clear distinction. Okay. So, with that somewhat acknowledged, I'd like to talk about your energy for a second. So, you are a life path 7, and 7 is all about acquiring wisdom. It's a very spiritual number in a sense where it's logical, but it's all about transcending the mind. And 7, you have to be this detective within your life more and more of understanding what's real and what's not real. And so you'll think about things logically, very logically, but you'll start to learn how to feel as well and start to enact your spirituality with how you understand the truth and how your detective becomes a spiritual detective. Okay. And so and you have that 8, and so the 8 makes you this perfectionist. So the number one thing that I'm seeing here, because you have very high mental energy with all of your numbers, is if you ever find yourself overdoing it in life, you need to take a step back, get some rest, and you have to find yourself in a place where your mind feels clear. If your mind feels clear, if you have your proper rest, if you feel like your brain's not going a million miles per hour on the inside of you, then you can start to put together what makes sense for you and where your compass is leading you. Because a life path 7 and an attitude 8, which you have, would make you a very perceptive person. Okay. And with that said, you could pinpoint when opportunities are coming to you. So I want you to think about, does this really feel accurate? What's being told to you by this lady with inheriting money? If it does, then yeehaw. If it doesn't, I want you to enact your truth. And you have so much natural intuition coming in through your mind and how you're inspired through how you think. As long as you slow it down, like, you can actually see a lot of how your life is going. But if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to be all over the place. Don't give away your power. Don't give away your power, because you are actually very powerful with how smart you are. I'm well aware of that. Okay. So just self care and slowing things down, meditation, asking spirit to heal and come to you too as well, to provide you balance and restoration. And I feel like you already know what you need to do. It's just you need to slow down and just go, okay, I need to do this. So I do feel like you're coming into energies of something a little bit more practical, but I feel like you have the chance in June for people to help. So put yourself in situations where you are not alone, where people are helping you around you, you're having other options. And I think that's really the place to start with what I'm seeing. Okay. Um, get back out there, be around people. That's what I'm seeing. Be around more people that can help, because I do feel like there's been a mistrust of people. Um, and so it's enacting the trust within yourself, and then going forward, the trust with other people, because you're going to be in a different kind of energy as long as we're enacting the self-care. And good things are going to happen as long as we enact the self-care. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick one. So I'm going to go with SW, and we are SW. You are an attitude 9, a personal day 4, and a life path 3. Life path 3s are always fun because we want to encourage somebody to get out there with their energy. Your life will pull you into opportunities where you have to lead things with your voice, where you have to present things with your energy. Okay. Life path 3 will be with communications or with creativity or the arts. Okay. It can go into entertainment too, as well, because you have to be seen, you have to be heard. But this lets me know that no matter where you are on your life, you have to be in situations where you're working with people and people are receiving betterment from the way that you use your voice, or the way that you write, the way that you have others understand thoughts. Okay. So it's communications, communications, communications. So honor that for yourself. Get out of anything that you're doing now if you don't have a chance to do that, right? You don't have a chance to use your voice or to activate your expression, change careers. That's what I have to say to you. Um, and also, what I want to say to you is, you are such a natural understander of people. You really are. And you have a lot of high creativity with how you work. And just to establish boundaries with people and making sure that people are within your relationships more equal as you go forward. Okay. You can do so much for people. You can, like, lay down, you can just lay down all your how can I put it? Like, you can just ask what you need to do if someone's needs help, if you really feel connected to them. Like, you're very self-sacrificing if you feel connected to them. You're that type of person. So boundaries and equality with people, you're so highly creative naturally. Use that in your career. And that's what I say to you, SW. And with that said, everybody, I'm giving you a lot of love, sending you luck. Please laugh and don't forget to live. I will see you all next week for the reading show again, of course, and also who we have as a guest. It's going to be a busy week. It really is. Thank you so much for your kind words, Courtney and Kevin and Jessie Cat and Jennifer. Please, please know that I'm so appreciative for everyone being here, and thank you for appreciating me as well. I will see you next week. Go with love and light. See you then.
The truth is here and now on WLTKDB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.